Have you considered Newton's laws of physics and how those three laws affect your life and my life today? I never in my wildest dream thought about those laws as it applies to life as we know it today. But they do. In fact, so much so that it is really worth investigating and it is worth understanding. That's what I want to talk about today. So in this video, I'd like to touch on his three laws. Hopefully I can go through all three, but I would like us to examine them again against life as we know it today. So what is Newton's first law of physics, which some of us may know? But if you don't, it is the law of inertia, and which simply states that a body will stay at rest or it will continue in motion when acted upon by an external force. And I'm trying to paraphrase because I'm not going to be able to say it exactly word for word, but simply stating that a body is going to be at rest unless it is acted upon by an external force. And if it is in motion, in constant speed, in a certain direction, it will continue in that speed and in that direction unless it is also acted upon by an external force. Think about that for a moment now. Can you see how that applies to your life today? What are some of those things that you haven't been able to do in as much as you have told yourself that you are going to do it? So you've been at rest, but you've not been able to muster some force to help you get out of that position to actually go do that thing. It's because of inertia. What about those things that you feel like you really want to stop doing them, but you haven't been able to? You still find yourself always heading in that same direction every time. You may just need some help. That external force, which could come from you sometimes. Sometimes it could come from somebody else or someplace else. Something, someone may be responsible to help you to get out of your inertia. Have you been talking about starting a business, but you've only stayed in the talking mode? You're writing your business plan, but you're stuck in the cycle of writing the plan and never ever starting the business? Or are you in business and things are not working and you just don't know how to redirect, how to pivot, how to adjust so things can start working for you? All of that is inertia. So many applications that we can see when we begin to understand this simple law of physics, which for many of us seemed like it was a law that you used to apply to solve maybe engineering problems. But physics is simple. This is the physical, and we are living in the physical world. And so that law applies to everything that exists in the physical realm. Because here's something that I'd like you to know and remember. Every law is a macrocosm of every other law. And what that simply means is that if that law doesn't work or apply in one area, then it is not a law. It must apply in any area if you test it in that area. So if that law, if we were to look at it in economics, if we were to look at that same law in accounting, if we were to look at that same law to see how it applies in biology, it should apply, it should work across the board. That's why a law is what it is considered transcendent. It's no respecter of persons. For example, the law of gravity. It doesn't care whether you're in Africa, in Europe, in the United States, wherever you are, that law exists and it works the same way. So that's the law. It works the same way, regardless of the circumstance or the location or the person trying to apply the law. So is this one. The law of inertia applies across the board. The second law of Newton, it talked about force, that the force or the acceleration of an object is dependent on the force that is applied to it and its mass. The acceleration of an object is dependent on what? The force that is applied to it and its mass. So you may be thinking now, how does that apply to me? Think about you again. Maybe you are in school or you are in a business and you're trying to accelerate to get this thing done faster. You're trying to break through. You are trying to figure out how to break through financially. The speed at which you will find that breakthrough will be dependent on those two things. The amount of force, which is energy or effort that you would put in, and how big that effort is. Let me give you an example now. Let's say you are a sales guy and your sales is dependent on you reaching out to so many customers, maybe making phone calls so that you can lock in maybe appointments or be able to make a sale, right? If you're going to accelerate your sales, it will be how much effort you're putting in making the calls and how many calls. The number of calls is the mass. The number of calls is what? Is the mass. And your force there then is the effort you now get to put into being able to make the calls effectively. This relates also to what we know as momentum. And momentum is also what? Is mass times velocity. So if you want to build momentum, it means you have to increase your speed and you have to increase your mass, or you increase one of them, either your speed or your mass or both. If you want to increase force, which force is equals to mass times acceleration, it means you increase your acceleration and you increase mass. So if you want to become a force to be reckoned with in society, in whatever domain you are functioning in, how fast or how quickly are you putting in the effort? And how much of that effort are you putting in? How much of the task are you engaging with? The more calls a sales guy can make and the speed at which he can cover that ground of making calls, the quicker he can develop momentum, which becomes the force eventually. Okay, so that's an example. So I want you to think about the things you do today where maybe you're struggling and you're not seeing much progress. Ask yourself, how much effort are you putting in to doing that task, to understanding what you need to do, and how fast are you trying to do so? That's the second law. The third law, this one is even, it simply says is the law of action and reaction. That to every action, there is an equal but opposite reaction. This one is even deeper. Have you recognized that nothing really exists by itself? You always find the opposite of things, the contrast of things. There is no positive without negative. There is no day without night. You don't have a one-sided coin. You always have heads and tails. Even your bread that you eat is two-sided. There's nothing that you have that exists in creation that doesn't have two sides. Day and night, hot and cold, winter and summer, all of it too. And so for every action, there is an equal but opposite reaction. Here's what that tells me also. That also tells me that every time you pick up a task to do, you would face opposition. Every time you decide to do something, intention, opposition will always surface to go against what you are going towards. So here's how I like to put it. Disruption always follow intention. This one is so profound that I'll have to probably make a video just to talk about it, because we don't see how this is impacting us. But when we truly understand it and can perceive it with the right mindset, you will no longer be frustrated when things are coming against you. Because now you can begin to understand that for every action, there will always be an equal but opposite reaction. Every time, it will never fail. It will never fail. So what is that thing that you are doing now? What is that venture? What is that decision you've made? What is that mission you are after? What is that goal that you're so driven to achieve? Whatever it is, remember this. There is an equal but opposite force, reaction that is coming against you. Oh my. Look, I want to make this video brief. So I'm done. But like I said, that last one, it's so profound. Take some time to ponder upon it for yourself. Let it sink in. Meditate on it for a minute and see how it can transform your life. My time is up. But remember this, that with all of your getting, get understanding. Have a great day.